Welcome to Valor Conversations. I'm your host, Jay Trainer. Valor Conversations is powered by CSB Ministries and is the official podcast of Christian Service Brigade. For more information, please visit csbministries.org. And now, on with the show. Hi, friends. Joining us today for our continued discussion on camp life and experiences is Dave Stiansen from Haycock Camping Ministries located down in Pennsylvania. I say down, but for some people it actually might be up or north. They have a long affiliation with Christian Service Brigade, hosting different retreat-style weekends and, of course, week-long camping experiences. Dave has been involved with Haycock since June of 2012, and he's here to talk with us about the background and the history and the value of camping experiences and discipleship today. Dave, welcome aboard. It's great to have you here on Valor Conversations. Thank you for taking the time today to discuss and join us with our ongoing series relating to discipleship, camping experiences. Let's start off by talking about maybe your own personal background for a few moments. What were some of the circumstances that the Lord used to bring you into this world of camping, particularly at Haycock Camping Ministries?
Yeah, so thanks, Jay. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share with you. The Lord has blessed me abundantly through the ministry of camping, and I'm just definitely blessed now to kind of be in leadership and promote this to families. And for me personally, specifically with Haycock, I was our local church that I grew up in was about 45 minutes here from camp, and so we kind of got connected to the ministry of Haycock through that. We would come up. I was a part of our stockade battalion when I was growing up as well, so we would come up for the stockaramas and the camporamas and everything like that. So it was more for me. The ministry of Haycock wasn't in the summer; it was actually in the off season. But I was born in Maryland, and so when we were down there, my older brothers got connected with a different CSB camp out in West Virginia, Hemlock Wilderness Brigade Camp, and so when we moved up to Pennsylvania, they kept going there, and so I followed them. So even though we were 45 minutes from Haycock growing up, I would drive about 5 or 6 hours every summer to Hemlock, and that's kind of where I spent my summers. And I went through the SALT program there at Hemlock, served on staff there for many summers, ended up leading SALT, was program director there for a couple summers as well as I finished up college. And so that summer aspect of the ministry was really kind of just a huge blessing to me through the ministry of Hemlock. And then the Lord opened the door to kind of return home, so to speak, not only to near where I grew up, but also near where I could have the opportunity to serve in camping ministry again, and specifically further Haycock's passion of growing boys into godly men, which is sort of my heart and calling.
So amazing. Now, family, you and I both know this, and our audience should know this too, but family also plays a vital role in all of this different ministry stuff that we take on, whether it's in a church setting or in a camp setting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family and their involvement in the ministry at your camp too?
Yeah, so the Lord has blessed my wife Shawn and I with a large family. We have 9 children and 5 daughters and 4 sons, and so we live on site here at camp, and so naturally we're involved in a lot of things. I do try to be as best I can divide that responsibility of camp with the responsibility of my home, but as you guys can imagine, there's a lot of overlap there, and so my kids have been involved in different areas. Certainly, whether it's helping in the kitchen and when we need help in certain areas, or helping, just a couple weeks ago we had our father-daughter retreat. So my oldest girls were up helping. We kind of have a formal dinner that we run that night, and so my oldest daughters were up helping the younger girls, get their hair done and get them ready for that dinner date with their dads, and so there's a lot of little things like that get involved. My oldest son, who is 17 now, he did go through our leadership growth program here at Haycock and served in smaller ways on staff. in different aspects. And so again, it is kind of that connection that your family has with it. But again, as a leader, my challenge is to make sure that there is that balance between work and family, that they know that I'm not working all the time, even though we work where we live. And so, but the Lord's blessed us a lot in that area, and hopefully my kids consider it a privilege to be able to serve in different areas and see the Lord do the work here.
Very cool. So pop quiz.
Yeah.
What are the ages of your kids?
All right. So our oldest are twins.
Okay.
So they are just finished their freshman year of college. They're almost 19. And so they're daughters, they're girls. And then my oldest son is 17. Then I have a daughter who's 15, a daughter who's 14, a son who is 11, son who's 9, daughter who's 7, and son who's 5. So
wow.
Yeah.
Such the range.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You've been in the world of Christian camping for a while, and I have been meaning to ask this for all of our interviewees for a long time with some of our previous guests. The conversation, for whatever reason, oftentimes will go in a different direction. How have you seen camping, specifically Christian camping, change over the course of the past decade or two?
Well, I can speak for myself. Again, I've been in this position for a decade. Prior to here, I was actually for 12 years involved in urban ministry in Indianapolis. So my was kind of out of the camping scene there for a little while. But in my time here, again, about a little bit over a decade now, I think what I've seen the most is a realization of the need for people to be connected relationally, and how vital the role that camp can play in that. And so we've seen specifically at Haycock attendance grow a lot over the past 10 years, and even specifically in certain programs that in a lot of ways are countercultural. We have a leadership program. It's called Leadership Growth Program. That's a 6-week program for young men ages 15 and 16. And that program has been going on for about 45 years here at camp. But over the last 5-7 years, we've had the most guys we've ever had in the history of the program enroll. And so I think not only from the perspective of a young man, where they kind of realize, you know what, God didn't really design me to sit around and play video games all summer and sort of that, but also from a parental perspective, where they see my kids need this engagement with God's creation. They need this relational connection with not only kids their age, but with mature, godly young men who are coming alongside them, having a blast and having all these adventures, but just engaging in those discipling relationships as well. So that's been one thing that's been encouraging, not only from Christian families, but also from just families in the community that we live, where I think people are realizing this is a huge need. I think COVID honestly almost enhanced that thought of we need relationships. We need this connection. And so it's been exciting, because again, it kind of goes against in a lot of ways the culture that we're dealing with now, where where everything goes through your phone and everything's online and all that kind of stuff. And I think the deeper we get into that, my prayer that there does become this realization, like, hey, we also need to take a break from that. We need to be out in what God created, and we need to be having adventures and not having to take pictures of those adventures. They can be in our minds. It's okay. They still happen. They still happened, even if we don't have something posted about it. And so I think that in my 10 years here, that's been the change. Is I think there's an increased realization of the importance of it.
So with regard to some of the programming, you've highlighted some of the program elements that are offered at Haycock. What are some of the other program offerings that you'll be having this summer, specifically at your camping, in the camping environment? Obviously, you have a girls program, guys program. Talk about that a little bit more in depth.
Yeah. So this is actually going to be our 60th summer of ministry that we're going to be celebrating this year. And so starting 60 years ago with kind of just tent camping out in the field here, the Lord's blessed us to allowed us to have overnight camping every summer since then. Even during the COVID season, we were allowed to figure out how to operate safely in that environment. And so our primary focus during the summer for 60 years has been boys overnight camping experiences and week-long camps. So this year we'll have 5 weeks that we offer that are just for boys only. We do have 1 week of a girls only camp that we offer. So our girls week's a real popular week there for our families as well. And then something new, again, sort of coming out of COVID, was that we established a day camp. And so we have a pretty large facility. We have 185 acres here at camp. And so last summer, we were able to operate both a day camp, which we run for 8 weeks of the summer. And that's a co-ed program, ages 5 to 12. And that is at our lower campus. And then about a quarter mile down the road at our upper campus, we were simultaneously running our overnight programs as well. And so our overnight programs are for boys and girls ages 7 up to 16. And again, those are 5 weeks of boys camp, 1 week of girls. And then our day camp, again, is a co-ed program that we run at our towards the entrance of camp for ages 5 to 12.
Awesome. So the makeup of the camp itself, the geography of camp, if you will, allows to lend itself to that type of programming and helps with the day camp environment. And as a result of some of the cultural elements of COVID, you're able to run that successfully, it sounds like. Yeah,
it was again something that we had kind of had in our future plans down the road. But in 2020, it was either we run a day camp or we're not open. And so we said, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. And it was just the reaction of the community was just really encouraging to us. And you know, we're in a rural area, so we didn't quite know what to expect, how many people would make the drive out to camp. And to see God kind of open that door. And then last summer, then us be able to say, hey, this is a door God's clearly shown is there. So let's see what we can do and see if we can run both of these at the same time. And definitely had some kinks we had to work out, but honestly, it went really, really well. And we're excited to kind of continue with both camps operating simultaneously.
Yeah, there's something about the trial and error process that comes into play. And if it works, you hit a home run. And if it doesn't work, you say, you know what, at least we gave it a try, and you can try something else the next year or in a different time of life. But it's neat that has been a trial that has worked out for you all with the day camp situation. Very cool. Very cool. So one of the aspects of what makes Brigade unique is the nature of older men ministering to younger men and boys, obviously, right? Mentorship, sharpening skill set, discipleship, leadership development, legacy, all these elements come into play in that type of world or in that type of environment. And as the camp director, how do you personally foster and encourage that type of environment within your camping programs and events too?
Well, you know, I think it's important that you're intentional about it. And I think specifically related to, you know, again, our discipleship programs are all for guys, you know, our leadership programs. We have, again, not only that leadership growth program that I mentioned for in the summer, but we also have a year-long internship program we offer called our Stand Discipleship program. That's a year-long program for guys out of high school, ages 18 to 24. And so we're all in on what it looks like to disciple young men and come alongside them. And I think there's no replacement for time. And that's what we look at, you know, say, listen, we're going to be with you. When you're here for the 6 weeks, we're the whole way through. We're alongside you. Everything you're doing, your leaders are doing with you. For our stand guys who are here the whole year, we jokingly say that you're stuck with us for this year and then for the rest of your life. And so again, I think that idea of mentoring is so much has to do with just being available consistently, day after day, week after week. And then even with our summer staff and our graduates of our leadership growth program, we make an effort to follow up with them during the school year and just kind of keep that connection. Again, our hope is that camp is kind of like a home away for home for these guys, and that they have the relational connection, but also that home connection here with the ministry.
So with regard to you do the summer camp programming, obviously, what else do you guys do during the rest of the year, you know, during the off season, if you will? What are some of the other program offerings? I'm sure you host groups, but what are some of the things that you guys are involved with?
Yeah, great question. So we're spring and fall are real similar. Pretty much every weekend we have something going on in camp in the spring and the fall. And so we have, I think, 11 different parent-child programs that we run primarily during the spring and fall. So it's several father-sons retreats, several father-daughters. We have a mother-son, we have a mother-daughter, different programs like that. So I believe there's 11 different ones that we run, varying, whether some are one night, some are 2 nights, just depends. And then we have a men's retreat that we run for kind of designed specifically for church groups of different sizes. And so we've run that now, I think maybe 6 or 7 years that we've run that in the fall. We have a young men's leadership conference that we run in November every year. I think this will be our 3rd or 4th year that we've run that. And then we also, kind of unique to camp, we have what we call Haycock Ops, which is our paintball ministry. And so we have several different events that we run for paintball. We have our Black Friday Open that we've been running now for probably 12 years. And then we have a couple other events that we run as well. And that's really, there's a huge opportunity there just for groups to come in and use the facility to play paintball. So there'll be guys that just come in and do that. So on top of those, then, when we have available weekends that we are not running our programs, we're pretty booked with church groups coming in, using the facility. School groups will come in. We have some reasonable amount of high ropes elements and different things like that are perfect for team building kind of things. So we'll have sports teams, school groups, different things like that come in. So the fall and spring are kind of busy in those areas. We get the winter, things slow down a little bit for us. But again, we have our interns that are here throughout the year. And so that's really a unique time for us to kind of invest with them individually. And so a lot of times what we will do during that season when the camp ministry is slowed down, we look into opportunities for them. One of the things they'll go on several missions trips that we coordinate, and one of our staff will go along with them, but they'll go on an overseas missions trip. They'll do several different urban experiences during that time in the winter when we're a little bit slower. And then they also have the opportunity to do different job shadowing experiences that we kind of set up typically in February and March of the year. And so during that downtime, it's really our hope as a ministry and our goal to hone in on helping those interns specifically start to engage in not only future preparation for whatever vocation, education is ahead of them, but also really hope to kind of give them a global picture of Christianity, what Christianity looks like in different cultures. And then again, as we start to head towards spring again, then we start back to our kind of a busy weekend kind of program structure and back on site, so to speak.
Things ramp up at that point. So it almost sounds like the Stand Discipleship program that you have, this year-long program, is very much almost a full gap year program of sorts, right? That's what it feels, as you're describing it, that's what it feels like, at least from my own vantage point.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. There's lots of different options for it. But yeah, it's a 11 and a half month program, fall, spring, and summer. The guys are here, and we have a unique setup where we've started to look through what does it look like for us to be able to come alongside guys in different phases of their lives to encourage them in their walk with the Lord and also kind of prepare them for their future. So our program is a little bit unique in that I think because it's not co-ed, we're able to offer a larger age range. So we've had a guy who was 24 years old do the program, so we have guys coming out of high school, ages 18 to 24 is our age range. We can offer up to 14 college credits during the program. So we have an educational component of it, but we also kind of, one of the things that's unique about our program is we obviously can specifically deal with a lot of issues of biblical manhood and challenging the guys in that direction and really helping them look ahead to their future as godly men and future husbands and future fathers and church leaders and all those things that we encourage them to pray through and think about. But then we also are able to specifically, we have 4 developmental tracks that we have for the guys that they get to choose kind of in their spring semester, so they can choose to be on the college track, military track, workforce track, or what we call our missions ministry track. And then we kind of, once they get going in those directions, then we're kind of working with them a little bit more individually on, all right, what are the next steps for you? Where are we going to go from here? And so, yeah, it's 100% a gap year program, and we're really excited about where the Lord's going to take that, and our goal of, again, growing boys into godly men.
Who are the credits affiliated through, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so we go through, it's called Anchor Christian University.
Okay.
And so we actually teach the classes on site here. So we have our staff, members of our staff, or people that are connected with the camp that are accredited, or I guess adjunct professors through the university. So we're able to use their platform, but we teach primarily in-person classes.
That's very cool. So cool. As we begin to wind down here, as we begin to wrap up, I've had the chance to really connect with a lot of camp leaders through this series that we are using here on Valor Conversations. And I love to hear, what is the win? What is the celebration? What is the victory look like for the different guests that I've had on this platform? And so what about you? What does a win look like to you? How do you celebrate it? And another question for follow-up to that too is, how do you encourage your staff to celebrate a win during maybe a potentially difficult week of camp?
Yeah, so there's several different things that personally encourage me, and how we also intentionally kind of design times to say, hey, we need to celebrate this, so a typical summer camp week, is obviously pretty insane, and there's a lot going on, but we're pretty intentional about during the course of that week, our counselors, what we call have 2-on-1 conversations. So 2 of our counselors will sit down with each camper individually, just have a in-depth spiritual conversation, get an idea where they're at with the Lord. And so we get, it's a clear opportunity where we train them to share the gospel, allow the boys that they're talking to if they haven't made a decision for Christ, to say, this is your opportunity to do that. And so every week we celebrate those young men or boys and girls, both, as obviously this applies to our day camp as well as our girls week, who make a decision for Christ. And so at our Friday staff meetings, we're able to share that. And again, it's just a pretty cool opportunity for us when we're at our most tired point to celebrate, young kids who've given their lives to the Lord for the first time. And so we're excited about that. I think a huge thing that stands out to me, and I'm kind of in the middle of it during this season, is, we're actively going through the application process for our young men to do the leadership growth program. And so that's our 6-week program for 15 and 16-year-old young men. And so there's an application, they need to get references in, and then they have an interview that they need to go through before they can take part of the program. And so it's one thing that's exciting for me is to hear these testimonies of these young men, and to hear guys like, I was actually saved at Haycock when I was 10, and I've been thinking about doing this program now for 6 years. Those are really cool testimonies that I get to share primarily with our year-round staff, during our weekly staff meetings here. And I honestly, I think regarding not only the program, our LGP program, but just the boys camping programs in general, I think one of the biggest victories, the biggest wins that I look at is, feedback from parents, and specifically moms. I think that's a huge thing for me, is when I hear a mom say, hey, my son came back different. And I talk about that with our LGP guys and our summer staff. I'm like, the first place that there should be a noticeable difference in your life is in your home. Your mom should notice, your younger siblings should notice. And so when those stories kind of trickle down to me, that's a huge encouragement to know that guys aren't just coming here and having a good experience, but they're coming here and the Lord is changing their life here, and they're leaving changed and making a difference in their homes and their churches and their communities. So those are huge victories. And And again, we try our best to celebrate those and share those victories. Just if I'm hearing them, if our other year-round staff are hearing them, we want to make sure at our weekly meetings that we are articulating those and making sure we're all able to praise God for those testimonies.
That's awesome. So any final thoughts or closing remarks that you might have for those that might be listening? And within that too, why don't you share real quick how someone can get more information about Haycock Camping Ministries?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way to find out about our ministry is on the website. It's just haycock.org is our website. There's a lot of information there. But just encourage families. I know life gets busy and things can crowd our time. But kind of what I was saying before, we have to be intentional about thinking what is most important, and I think valuing the impact that camp can have, supporting you as a family, supporting what your church stands for, coming alongside in a lot of different ways can just be really impactful. I know that it was in my life, kind of really the Lord used those experiences to encourage me and to push me towards a career in ministry. And I've seen it happen in many other guys as well. But also just, again, those lifelong relationships that the Lord provides through unique opportunities that camps give us. And so again, just encourage parents. I know like I mentioned, I'm a busy parent, like everyone else, but just prioritizing that and saying, you know what, this is something that we're going to pursue as a family, whether it's, hey, we're going to go to this father-son camp, or, hey, I really think it's valuable for you to I'm thinking about my own son. I was like, you're gonna miss the summer of football conditioning, because I feel like the leadership growth program is that valuable, and those kind of things. And again, I think you make those hard choices as parents, but they're the hard right choice in my mind is what it's looking at. You sacrifice things for things that could be potentially spiritually life-changing and beneficial.
Well, conviction, it's going to cost you something, right?
Yep.
There's always going to be cost involved. So Dave, thank you for taking the time today out of your busy day, out of your busy season, getting ready for summer camp here in the later part of spring, and discussing the importance of Christian camping. I'll be sure to pray, to send people your way as the opportunity comes where you might be looking for more summer staff, as you venture into the warmer weather and opportunities to minister to young people this summer. I want to thank you again. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks for tuning into Valor Conversations with your host, Jay Trainer. Valor Conversations is powered by CSB Ministries and is the official podcast of Christian Service Brigade. For more information, please visit csbministries.org. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more Valor Conversations coming your way soon.